They mean the length of the line from A to B. Use the distance formula in A and B. Right, the length of the line from B to C, or the distance from B to C. Same thing, length, distance. Right? Okay, so AB, two straight lines, means find the length. Okay, remember, step one, you call A x1, y1, and you call B x2, y2. Jumping back into your head? Yeah? Great. Okay, then you just fill in your formula. So it's x2, which is 3. Then you have a minus sign. Then you have x1, which is minus 1. So the first minus came from the formula. The second minus is part of x1. 2b squared plus y2 is minus 2 minus y1, which is 3, 2b squared. So in the first bracket, I have two minuses in a row. The two minuses make a plus. Okay? And from there, you type it as you see it into the calculator. You type the square root sign first, open bracket, 3 plus 1 to be squared, plus minus 2 minus 3 to be squared. And when you do all that, you'll end up with the square root of that 16 plus 25, which is square root of 41. Okay? So I'm going straight from that line to the answer because I'm just going to type it into my calculator. Is that okay? So I'll just put calculator in case you're wondering how did I do that. I went straight to the calculator and typed in exactly as I see it. Okay? Right, okay, next one. Part 2. Sorry. Part 2 is BC with two straight lines either side. So that's the length from B to C. So same formula, different points. So B 3 minus 2, C 5 2. Formula is x2 minus x1 2b squared plus y2 minus y1 to be squared. So I'm going to call this x1, y1, and I'm calling this x2, y2, and I'm filling it in. Okay, is it okay if I move it up like this? Is that okay? Have I cut anyone off? You all with me? Great. So square root of x2 is 5, minus x1 is 3, to be squared, y1 or y2 is 2, minus y1 is minus 2 to be squared. So again, I've ended up with two minuses in a row. The first minus came from the formula, the second minus is part of y1, so two minuses give you a plus. Into the calculator and press equal, so you get the square root of 4 plus the square root of 16, which is the square root of 20, which the calculator will spit out to you to be 2 root 5. It's the square root of 20, which is 2 root 5. Yeah, 2 squared is 4, 16, yes, yeah, 2 root 5. Are we all good? Are we good? And for these girls, you don't give your answer, you don't turn it to decimals unless they ask you to. Right, so you give your answer as a surd. A surd has a square root sign in it. Unless it was a square, if you ended up with the square root of 25, you would obviously, that would be 5. You would never leave that as a surd. Okay, so if it's a perfect square, obviously, but the calculator will do it all for you anyway. Is that alright? Okay, part 3, girls, is the midpoint of BC. So that means I'm using point B, which is 3 minus 2, and I'm using point C, which is 5, 2. Midpoint formula, x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. Right, this is the only formula you can't add the whole lot into the calculator together. You have to do the first half and the second half. So x1, y1, x2, y2. So that's x1 is 3 plus x2 is 5 all over 2, comma, y1 is minus 2 plus y2 is 2 over 2. Into the calculator with the first bit. 3 plus 5 over 2 is 8 over 2, which is 4. And minus 2 plus 2 is 0 over 2, which is 0. There's a midpoint. That's the point that's halfway between those 2 points. Are we good with that? Midpoint? Happy? Remember these? Not too bad? Yeah? Right, okay. Right. The next thing I want to talk about is the slope of a line. Okay, can I go? Right, slope of a line. Do you remember slope of a line? Slope of a line is a measure of how steep the line is. Right, okay, yeah. So if you have a line, right, and you have a line, right, imagine yourself at the bottom of the hill, right?
Excuse me, please, will the following come to reception at the bell, please? Kira Moulton, Beatrice Cavalcanti, or Camelia Oravia, and Susanna Grisecca. Thank you.
Right, imagine yourself at the top of at the bottom of the hill, right? The steeper the hill to climb, right, the bigger the slope. So line 1, line 2, so line 2 obviously, or line 1 obviously has a bigger slope. It's a steeper hill. Is that right? Okay, we happy with that? Right, okay. There's a formula, right? Okay, so if you're given 2 points, you use the formula. If you're given a diagram, sometimes they just give you a diagram, right? There's no number, not a number in sight, but there's squares, right? As in, might be something like this, not a number in sight, okay? Just a load of boxes and a line, okay? And then you use rise over run. So you'd pick 2 points on the line, and the rise would be how many boxes up, how many boxes across would be the run. Is that alright? Except I went to the wrong point. Okay, I should have went up there, sorry. Rise over run, you remember that? Okay, so the only time you use rise over run if you're given a diagram with no numbers on it and just boxes. Chances of that happening in Leave It at higher level are pretty slim. Okay, they expect more of you than counting boxes. Okay, right, but you're still expected to know it. So rise over run, and you only use that if you have no numbers to work with. Is that okay? Right. Positive and negative slope, right? Okay, so if I have a line and I'm at the bottom of the hill, right? If you walk forward, right? I walk forward to go up that hill. I walk in the positive direction to go up that hill, don't I? That's a positive slope. Do you remember this? Right? And if you have a line that you walk backwards to go up the hill, so I'm at the bottom of the hill again, right? I need to go backwards. I need to go in the negative direction to get up the hill. That's got a negative slope. What about a horizontal line, girls? What hill? So it's got a slope of what? Slope of a horizontal line? There is no hill, so it's got a slope of 0. Is that okay? Slope of 0? Right, okay. And if you have a vertical line, girls, the slope of that is so big, it's undefined. It's infinity and beyond. Right, so the slope of a vertical line is undefined. As in, the number is so big, we can't even put a value on it. Okay, is that alright? Undefined, slope of 0, positive, negative. Remember that. Are we okay? Right. Okay, we good? Move it on? Are we okay to move it on? Right, okay. Parallel lines. So parallel lines, you know, lines that never meet. So if you're at the bottom of the same hill, or this parallel lines, if you're at the bottom of the hill, which one would you prefer to climb up? And you say to me that they're both the same, aren't they? Right, as in the incline of those hills is both the same. So parallel lines, girls, have the same slope. Parallel lines have the same slope. So if I say the slope of that line is 2, that means the slope of that line is also 2. If I say the slope of this line is a half, the slope of this line is also a half. Right, so parallel lines have the same slope. You remember that? Yeah? You do. I'll tell you do. Right, okay, are we good? Right, okay, perpendicular lines, they're lines that meet at right angles. Remember, perpendicular lines, they're lines that meet at right angles. So when we have two lines, when they, at the point where they meet, if they make 4 right angles, they are perpendicular, right? So that's perpendicular, right? Maths people don't like writing words, so perpendicular is an upside down T, girls. That's the symbol for perpendicular. Parallel, girls, is 2 straight lines. Actually, they normally do them straight. So 2 straight lines like that. Okay, that's the shortcut of writing parallel. Right, this is the shortcut for writing perpendicular, an upside down T and 2 straight lines. Okay, is that alright? Okay, if lines are perpendicular, you get the slope of one and you multiply it by the slope of the other, and the magic number is -1. So if you get the slope of one, multiply it by the slope of the other, and you get -1, you can say those lines are perpendicular. If you get any other number, they are not perpendicular. So you get the slope of one line, you multiply it by the slope of the other line. If you get the magic number, which is -1, they are perpendicular. If you get any other number, they are not perpendicular. Is that okay? What if I got +1? Not perpendicular, right? You have to get -1 when you multiply the two slopes. Is that alright? Remember that? Okay, what if I told you the slope of one line? So I gave you M1. So I given M1. So I gave you M1. How would I find M2 if I said line 2 is perpendicular? So I give you the slope of one line and I tell you the second line is perpendicular, find the slope of the perpendicular line. Okay, you turn M1 upside down. So you start with the whatever this, so basically you're looking for the number that multiplies by it to give you -1. So you turn M1 upside down and you change the sign. Right, okay, I'll do a few examples of that. It's probably just words until you see it. Okay, so if I have a line, slope of a line, right, and then I want to get the slope of a parallel line, I'm just going to use a parallel line, right, and the slope of a perpendicular line. I'm being lazy now, I don't want to write the words. Yeah, I know it's probably off. Oh, it's not off the scale. Can I move it up? Yeah? Right, okay. If I said I have my original line, the slope is 2, right? What's the slope of a parallel line? Also 2, isn't it? It's the same. What's the slope of a perpendicular line? You have to turn it upside down and change the sign. So remember, 2 is actually 2 over 1, isn't it? So when you turn that upside down, what you get? A half. And then change the sign, put a minus in front of it. Now, common question. Is the minus in front of the fraction? Is it with the 1? Is it with the 2? Doesn't matter, right? As long as it's there somewhere. You can say it's in the front. You can say it's with the 1. You can say it's with the 2. Right? Okay, so up to you where you put the minus. Just put it somewhere. And don't put in 2 of them, because 2 minuses give you a plus. So if I say the slope of a line is -2/3. Right, what's the slope of a parallel line? Also -2/3. What's the slope of a perpendicular line? 3 over 2. So you turn it upside down. It was 2 over 3, now it's 3 over 2, and it was minus, now it's a plus. If you multiply those two numbers, the slope of a line and the slope of a perpendicular line, what do you get? -1. That's the idea, that if you multiply that by that, you get -1. Okay? Right? Finally, just one more. If I say the slope of a line is 1/4, what's the slope of a parallel line? 1/4. What's the slope of a perpendicular line? -4 over 1, which is just -4, isn't it? Are we all okay with that? Remember that? Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to give you homework. It's on page 148 to 149, and you're going to do 2 to 14, but you're only going to do the even numbers. So page 148 to 149, you're going to do 2 to 14, but you only do the even numbers. Is that right? Okay. And can I ask you, girls, will you photograph your homework every night without me asking? So every night, save it, you know the way you have to put a title on it. Do you have to put a title on it? Put the date on it, right? Okay, so yeah, a different one each night, yeah, okay. So and call it the date. So tonight's homework will be called 25/11. Is that alright? Okay, so and put it in every night. I won't be checking it every night, but I'm going to start looking at it consistently and giving you grief if you don't put it in, so do.